Welcome back. I haven't been working on my Centurion video because I have been busy ghostwriting Drake's garbage diss tracks over the weekend. So while the air event is garbo and I've got nothing for content, let's talk about some leak lists as part of my content. Jesus Christ. Of course, this being a leak list, it means that none of the information in this video is confirmed or verified to be true. I'll explain why this is the leak list I'm going to discuss out of the hundreds out there. Like, I'm not even kidding. If you were so inclined, you can write up a leak list on Discord and screenshot it with bad crops and bad name redaction, and you could have it spread like wildfire. But this leak list seems to be the current canon leak list because it was made by the dude that made the Alpha Strike leak list, the one that turned out to be true. Save for the A6E Swip that's already been in every leak list since after Apex Predators. So we'll run down this leak list and we'll discuss how that would fit in the game if such vehicles would really arrive for the next update. Because the A6E Swip is there, I will have to talk about it. I feel like it'll be a 10-7 because it could fire Mavericks of the AGM-65E and AGM-65F variety. The AGM-65E is a laser-guided variant of the Maverick with the AGM-65G's warhead, and the AGM-65F is essentially the AGM-65E but IR guidance like the AGM-65D. It can also drop wall ice like the A7E. Aside from that, it has other munitions like the anti-radiation missiles like the Shrike and the Harm, and standoff munitions like the AGM-84. I think this is AGM-84, but I could be wrong. Anyways, I'm not sure they're going to be added if, and take note if, this is a big if. One, the leak list is real, and two, if the A6E Swip will be there. With leak lists like this, it's like Top Gun Maverick. You need two miracles to pull this off. The first miracle is for this leak to be real. Second is for the A6E Swip to be added along with it. What I think will happen is they will reserve the Swip for the update that adds ARH missiles or standoff munitions. Because the A6E Tram makes a lot of money for the game if someone needs an equivalent of the AMX for the US tech tree. Putting the Swip at the same BR with the same weapons would just take away from the moneymaker that is the A6E Tram. And you know it's a moneymaker because in spite of the F4S and to an extent the F20, the Tram is still not going away after the pack sales, which means it's still popular and people still buy it. Even though if it's not on sale. But what I'm saying is people still buy the Tram, so it's not going away, it's not unpopular. So yeah, A6E Swip, very skeptical even if the leak list is true. Yeah, it's been known to be a signature of leakers, just to put some credibility to their stuff. Next we go on to Fox 3 for all nations. Yeah, all nations are going to get Fox 3s. Of course, the glaring question would be, what does it mean for Germany? Currently, Germany has no Fox 3 carriers, and the leak doesn't specify that Germany will receive a Fox 3 capable fighter. But since all nations are getting Fox 3s, it's a safe bet that the F4F ICE would be added for Germany. As for other nations, I believe we will not have other aircraft, but existing aircraft will probably just receive Fox 3s. That means the F-16C for the US, MiG-29 SMT, and Yak-141 for USSR. Japan could get AMRAAMs for its F-15J and reserve the AAM-4 for the F-15J MSIP. China's PL-12 for the J-8F, the Gripen for Britain, Italy, and Sweden, but Italy can also get AMRAAMs for stuff like the F-16A ADF and their AV-8B+. I don't think Israel will get the Derby for the Barak 2 because I think it only tested it. It didn't have a firing test for it. They just tested mounting it, or I could be completely wrong. I think they're just going to remove the AMRAAM, I guess, and replace it with a Python 4 that's in the files right now. And France, for France, of course, the beloved Mica for the Mirage 2000-5F. Sweden can also get the AMRAAM for the Viggen D, but it would need to have its BR raised back to 12.0 should that happen. You can't be, I don't know, a 10.3 plane and face an 11.3 Viggen with 2 AMRAAMs. So next is the TC-1L. This is the Taiwanese Tiantian-1 or Sky Sword 1 missile as a ground launch platform similar to the Chaparral. This would fill the lack of SPAA for China from the PGZ-04A at 9.3 to the Tor M1 at 11.7. The TC-1 missile seems to be similar to the 10.3 Chaparral missiles. Because the TC-1 is the missile used on the FCK-1 Qingguo and the Xiangsheng fighters from Taiwan, so if they do implement the Antelope TC-1L for ground forces, it's not unreasonable to expect for the FCK-1 to arrive as well. And Taiwan is also going to receive Mirage 2000-5 EIs, so yeah, China will be a very, very stacked tech tree. The next one would be F5 for BNL. BNL is the acronym for By and Large, the mega corporation that destroys the world in Wall-E. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's short for Benelux, or Benelux, the region of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. It seems that the Benelux region will be the subtree for France according to this leak. Although maybe they really are by and large because the Netherlands did field the Wall-E, the YPR 765 Pratt. So the NF5 is similar to the F5A with flare dispensers on the rear and allegedly 6 AIM-9Ps. Though I haven't found any proof for that last bit. Even the 4 Sidewinders claim I'm not actually sure, but if the F5E OCU could have it, the one in the squadron vehicle for Japan, I think 4 missiles is not unreasonable. Though 6, there are pictures specifying that the Dutch tried to put 2 pylons under the fuselage, but as for flying with it, I'm not sure. Anyways, all I know is that the NF5A is derived from the CF-116 or CF-5, and that had only 2 AIM-9 wingtip rails, so who knows? This one would probably slot in a 10.3 with the F5C and Event F5E for the US, or 10.7 if they choose to add AIM-9Ps, 11.0 if they add 6 AIM-9Ps for it. But if it's just an NF5A copy, yeah, with AIM-9Es, 10.3, yeah. Next up is the Churchill Avray, a Churchill with a 230mm petard spigot mortar, or the dumpster launcher on the Churchill body. Considering the nature of Avray or engineering vehicles in War Thunder, I bet this will be an event reward after the ship event, or it could be a GE premium. Though I can still be blindsided if Gaijin does end up being kind enough to put it in the tech tree. Come on, Gaijin, also add the Cromwell CS. But anyway, let's move on to the Namur RCWS-30, the long-awaited IFV for Israel. Merkava Mark IV hull with a remote-controlled Bushmaster 30mm turret with spike missiles. I expect it to be at 11.0 because of how the KF-41 is, and the number is just an even better armor platform thanks to the Merkava Mark IV hull. Speaking of IFVs, the British will get the Desert Warrior, which is the Kuwaiti Bradley. 25mm M242 with 2 tow launchers on each side of the turret. That's about it. Either it will be 8.0 like the M3 Bradley with tow 1s and maybe an ITOW, or it will be 10.0 like the M3A3 with tow 2A and tow 2Bs. This next IFV I think I can't find pics for because the USH-204GK is pretty obscure. All I can find was the USH with a machine gun and the rocket launchers, the one that's on the Raketen Automat. But it would be Just like the Swedish R3, fast car with a Swiss Oerlikon 20mm. It'll be at a low BR again like 6.0, similar to the R3. And another one that Sweden gets is the STR-V101R, Centurion Mark 10 with Blazer ERA, and I think a laser rangefinder. Would it receive the SLPPR-JM80? That I'm not sure about. It will probably sit at 8.3 without the APF-SDS or 8.7 with the APF-SDS round. Now we go to two interesting add-ons, the Vextra TML-105 and the Leopard 2A4M can. The Vextra TML-105 is a French prototype light tank. The chassis is reminiscent of the VBCI in terms of general shape and layout. Though, of course, you can see the difference. The VBCI is not exactly a Vextra IFV, but, you know, you can see the difference. Anyways, the TML-105 is not a completely new concept to War Thunder, as it is the original turret that the CV90-105 received before it was replaced by the autoloading XC8 turret. So yeah, if the Vextra TML-105 gets added, it'll be France's first 10.0 tank. They'll probably have the OFL-105F1 as its first round, and the DM-33 as its top round. The Leopard 2A4M can appeared in the Alpha Strikes leak, but didn't actually drop. This one is another enigma because it can actually go anywhere. Either it goes to Britain because Canada, or it goes to Germany because 1, it's a Leopard 2, and 2, the C2A1 is on there. Anything can happen really, but it would really just be another add-on to Germany's super stacked top-tier lineup, since it essentially has similar armor to the Leopard 2A5 and uses the same shells. If it gets added to Britain, it would give Britain a competitive tag at 11.7 instead of trying their luck with the Challenger 3. ZSL-92 isn't that interesting compared to the ZBD-04A. It's just a PTL-02, but you replace the gun with a 25mm. Same ammunition as the PGZ-04A. Since the PGZ-04A doesn't have APDS, it would be a safe bet to say that the ZSL-92 won't have it either, and it would be at a lower BR, like a light tank at 7.0 or 7.3, maybe 6.3 or something like that. But I don't know. It's a ZSL-92. It's a 25mm ZPT-90 cannon. I don't think anyone's gonna be mad if they put it at a low BR. The T-80UE1 is also not quite interesting in terms of the game. Take a T-80UD turret, put it on a T-80BV hull, give it a new thermal sight, and replace the gun to fire more modern shells, including the INET shell. So that's what you get, the T-80UE. This will obviously be 11.7, considering it can fire the 3BM60 and would most likely be before or folded with the BVM, as it's clearly better than the T-80U but worse than the T-80 BVM. XM800T. Stabilized 20mm Hispano Suiza cannon, no thermals. I feel like this is Gaijin's solution to the M42 to M163 gap in the US SPAA line. It's never been beyond them to class light tanks or IFVs as SPAA. Considering the PBV-301 and Weasel 1A4 were classed that way despite not being actual SPAAs in real life. They could probably put it the same BR as the Weasel 1A4 as well. Now we go to one of the highlights of this leak list, Benelux. I've stated above that is the region of Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. I've also talked about the NF5 and the YPR-765, so let's do a quick highlight of what France can get if the Benelux territory includes both air and ground trees. For aircraft, the highlights of the Benelux tree would be the F-16A and F-16AM from Belgium and the Netherlands. The F-16AM is the MLU upgrade for the F-16As in Dutch and Belgian service. If they didn't use Sparrows, the F-16AM would go straight to the AMRAAM. Belgium also had Mirage 3 and Mirage 5 aircraft, but that's already in the French tech tree like the Belgian Alpha Jets. Dutch F-104Gs could also be added along with some Hunters and some Meteors. Unfortunately, Luxembourg has no vehicles that could be added, even with tanks. For tanks, Belgium can contribute the Leopard 1 BE, which is a Leopard 1 with a Sabco fire control system that adds a laser rangefinder to the stabilized Leopard 1A1, making it sort of an STB-1 within the French tech tree. The Dutch has the Leopard 1V, which includes a DM-23 shell and a stabilizer with a Sabco fire control system. So basically a French Leopard 1A1. A1. Belgium follows this with their Leopard 1A5 and the 1A5 with a Cockerel turret I talked about in my Leopard video. There's also the Dutch Leopard 2A4 and 2A6M2. And the one that's most anticipated, the CV9035 NLMLU. A CV90 Mark III has better mobility than the STRF 9040s. It used a Bushmaster 35mm gun for the NL variant, and the MLU gave it spike missiles. So it'd be a nice 10-3, 10-7, like the KF-41. Reward for, light tank for France. For Luxembourg is there to provide moral support to the French tree. Aside from a Humvee or a Jeep with tow missiles, Luxembourg has nothing to offer the French tech tree. Now we move on to three big planes. First one is the Sea Harrier F-82, which is the successor to the Sea Harrier FRS-1. Uses the Ferranti Blue Vixen radar and was capable of firing Fox 3s, like the AMRAAM. The radar allowed it to be compatible with the Sea Eagle cruise missile, so if Gaijin wants to give Britain an Su-25 SM-3 equivalent, the Sea Eagle could work as a candidate. And the Su-25 SM-3 equivalent for Italy would be the AMX A1A. The Brazilian variant of the AMX replaces the 20mm M61A1 with two 30mm DEFA cannons. The AIM-9L Sidewinder is replaced by the MAA-1 Piranha missile that's similar to the Python 3 in performance. It also has the MAR-1 anti-ship missile with a range of 60 to 100 kilometers if Gaijin really wants to turn it into a Su-25 SM-3 counterpart. The MiG-2193 or the Bison is weird, okay? I'm gonna get this out there. The MiG-2193 is a Russian fighter. The Bison is the MiG-21 UPG upgrade done by India. If it's a MiG-2193, it should be in the RU tech tree. If it's the Bison, it should be called the MiG-21 UPG. I feel like I'm being pedantic or I'm reading too much, but it's crazy that Russia isn't getting a MiG-2193 if the British are getting the MiG-21 UPG Bison. Next up is the HMS Queen Mary. It's like the Japanese event ship back then, the Kurama. It's just a pre-World War I battle cruiser. And another interesting bit in this leak list are the censored bits. One after the XM800T and one for France with a CBT label. Now, I actually have no idea what these are, so we'll leave it at that. Though being French is a clue in and of itself. I guess we'll find out if this is true or not when the time comes. Though if you twist my arm and ask me to guess what the CBT for France is, I think it's the coastal tree. It was the first nation to add a naval tree without a coastal tech tree because of the blue water coastal split. As for what they could have for their coastal, I'm not sure. Could be anything from World War II to the present. And I'm not a naval guy, so who knows what they can actually get. Well, anyway, that's it for that leak list. I think we'll start seeing dev blogs next week, and the update might be here by the end of the month or the start of next month. Next video is the Centurion video, and I didn't put up a poll because I didn't want anything else to win and derail my script writing process. Thanks for watching. DocMD. I am out.